Rupal, are you there? Hello, Rupal, can you hear me?
Yes, Pooja. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
am I audible?
Yes, yes. Be a bit loud, please.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. I hope you all are staying safe and keeping healthy. A warm and humble welcome to the 93rd webinar series by Sharp under Youth and Adolescent Health. So, myself, Dr. Pooja Bhatt, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. So, as you all know, that Sharp stands for School Health Annual Report Program. Working for over 22 years in the field of holistic development and healthcare of students and children, we at Sharp always try to educate and open conversation on problems related to youth and adolescents during and after pandemic. Through this webinar series, we hope to spark discussion on some important topics pertaining to today's youth demographics. In the present times, adolescents spend an increasing amount of time in digital environment and has become one of their dominant leisure activities. Most of the time is spent on social media and they consider it as an extension of their real life selves. Adolescents are particularly susceptible to the development of fear of missing out, commonly known as FOMO, by using social media. Family structure, parental relationship quality, and parenting style are factors influencing adolescents' social media usage and therefore likely contribute to the development of FOMO. So, in this webinar, we'll be talking about social media and fear of missing out in adolescents. So, through this webinar, we aim to discuss what is FOMO, its potential dangers, its causes, how to deal with it, role of family and teachers in helping out the adolescents, and why the adolescents are at a higher risk. Now, to throw more light on this topic, on the panel today we have Ms. Arshi, Ms. Prabhjyot Kaur, and Ms. Amandeep Brar. So let's begin with a short introduction of our panelists. First is Ms. Arshi, a counseling psychologist by profession. She currently works as a school counselor with a reputed school in Gurgaon, Haryana. She has pursued her graduation in psychology from Lady Shri Ram College and masters in psychology from University of Delhi North Campus. In addition, she has also done a child and adolescent therapy program from Psychoanalytic Psychotherapy Study Center, New York. Next panelist is Ms. Prabhjyot Kaur. Prabhjyot Kaur is a counseling psychologist with a private practice based in Delhi. She has 4 years of experience in the field and is also pursuing a post-graduation diploma in trauma-focused therapy from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. She primarily works with adolescents and adults, and her areas of expertise include affirmative therapy, trauma, mood disorders, and interpersonal relationships. Last but not the least is Ms. Amandeep Brar. She has a background of masters in biology and taught science. Then she switched to psychology. She is a counseling psychologist, worked in a hospital for a brief period of time, and now working as a school counselor. She likes to take challenges and new tasks as a leading experience. She believes that life is too short to learn and it's never too late. So before we start this webinar, I would like to give some instructions. Firstly, we'll have a round of discussion with our panelists, following with the question answer round. I request the audience to drop in their questions in the question answer box. We'll be taking up live questions, and 2 best live sharpest questions of the day winners will get gift voucher worth 500 rupees. Additionally, we request the audience not to fill the chat box with unnecessary messages because we may tend to miss out the important questions. So that was about the introduction of our panelists and a short note about Sharp. Now let's begin with the topic. So I would like Ms. Amandeep Kaur to open the discussion with a few lines about what is your basic understanding about FOMO.
Thank you. Thank you, Pooja, for calling me here. See, FOMO, it is a millennial term. It just started in 2004. I read it for the first time, but it is not new to me. See, olden times also FOMO was there. Women was learning stitching and doing other households, and they used to say somebody is learning and I'm not. But as we are now here with the adolescents, See, because last 2 years we were mostly home. We were not going out. It was a pandemic. So gadgets were very accessible to children because we are dealing with adolescents today, talking about that. So I would say access was very easy. FOMO was not new. The term is now it is more coming up because of that. Because parents have provided their devices because there was no choice. Studies were there, everything, even like this is very near rather than people, the screen was near. So when you put something on the social media, then you say, oh, this is there, why I'm not. So this is what FOMO is, fear of missing out. Somebody is going out, I'm not. Though the reality is maybe different. This is where children don't understand much of it. See, this is what, when FOMO was introduced, FOMO was also there. Fear of better opportunities, right? So there's unrest is there with the FOMO, right? So for me, FOMO is not new. It is from long back, but it has just the consequences for today is more showing up. Children are not concentrating much. Studies are affected, right? Sleeping disorders are there, mood swings are there, tantrums, aggression. So that is why we are talking more about FOMO. That's it. For me, FOMO is not a disorder, but consequences can lead to disorders.
Sure, sure. Now I would request Ms. Prabhjyot Kaur to add some few more points. Like if you have some other opinions about it, we would love to listen about it.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me for this webinar. I really appreciate it. I'm completely in agreement with Amandeep and the points being brought forth, and especially the point about access to devices. I don't think it's fair to talk about fear of missing out, especially in today's context, if we don't take the pandemic into consideration. The thing is, everything went online. And I know today's discussion is primarily around social media because of that reason. Everything went online. The other point that I would just like to sort of set a base with would be, why is it that we even feel that fear of missing out? What is it that we're missing out on anyway? So I feel like when you're engaging with adolescents, I think it's very important to understand, firstly, what is the shared understanding of missing out? What is it that, okay, I feel like I could be missing out and my friend is doing an art class. Whereas my friend who is in art class might be feeling like that she's missing out sitting at home. So, it's very important to, I think, properly place it in that context. Similarly, what is the individual understanding of missing out? And I feel like this discussion is incomplete without bringing in the factor that all of us grow up with comparison. I think it's a very, very central element to how we value ourselves, what our sense of selfhood could be, what we think we are worthy of, especially in adolescence. It's that stage where identity is getting shaped, right? So, okay, I am here, but I'm not going to just focus on being here. Instead, I'm going to think about, okay, other person being out there, or my other friend doing this activity, or the other friend doing this activity. So I feel like it's very important to bring in that comparison aspect as well, and how much we encourage it too, right? I think we encourage it in families. I think we encourage it in our educational systems. I don't think there's any way around that. And that I personally feel then ends up contributing to FOMO in a lot of ways. And I really appreciate that this discussion is being held on this platform. It's such an important topic. Thank you.
Right. Right. I completely agree with the point that because we draw comparisons, that is a basic reason that we, face this fear of missing out. So thank you so much. I would request Ms. Arshi to please unmute and tell us, like, what do you think, what according to you contributes to fear of missing out generally in the adults? Like, why not in some other age group? Why only in adults? Like, it's seen more in adults as compared to the other age groups.
I would not say that, firstly, thank you for inviting me over here. And secondly, going on adults, when you mean by adults, do you mean 18 plus adults? That's what we're talking about. But in today's age, a gadget is in everyone's hand. A 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old will have gadgets. So I wouldn't say that only adults experience FOMO. Like Ms. Prabhjyot was also talking about social comparison. People determine their social value and self-worth based on, they compare themselves to others, positive or, negative. Then they judge themselves in that positive or the negative light. Like, and also, I would say that the world around us is becoming so fast paced. Everything, every click, even a food that you eat or the drink that you're drinking, that beautiful drink, it's on social media. So, what does it create? That I am sitting here doing my work while someone out there is enjoying and having fun. But we also failed to understand that their life might not be completely true, right? But what we are doing is we are judging on the face value. And I think that, leads to a lot of FOMO in us as well as adults and in teenagers, especially because then they are moving to a stage where their hormones are changing, when they're growing up. There is this need for companionship, there's this need for friendship. Everyone needs to like them. And where is liking? It is on social media. How cool or happening your life is on social media. Whether that person might be going back to a very boring household, we don't know. But what the person is projecting, that becomes the reality. So I feel that also creates that FOMO. And I was reading this study where it talked about chicken and the egg situation, that it is uncertain in heavy social media use is leading to FOMO, or if FOMO leads to increased use of social media, right? Because when we see, others are also, how many times have we felt the urge that that person is putting so many pictures and all, I should also put this, but you have absolutely no need to put it. It's just that so many times we've questioned ourselves. Like I questioned myself after putting up a picture. Why did I? What will that picture serve? Like, what is the purpose of that picture? So I feel, the life that we are showing outside on the social media is creating a lot of FOMO. So when we are also looking at those pictures or those life, we need to set our boundaries. So it's important that how do we set our boundaries at these spaces?
Right, right. Very rightly said, ma'am. So, okay, now the thing is, okay, there is FOMO, people are drawing comparisons and all that. But the thing is, why is it a problem? Why do you think that comparing yourself with someone else is a problem? I would like Miss Amandeep to throw some light on it.
Hi, thank you. See, comparing with others is not a problem. When it is a healthy FOMO, I say it is good. If see a child sees her two friends or her friends reading a book and just buying a book, saying that it's something good. See, you are developing something good, whether it's a FOMO, fear of missing out. A child is just, or a person, maybe an adult, have just joined like a club, biking club, learned biking. That's okay. But when we talk about adolescents, na, see, emotions and expressions are multiplied. What you and me think when we talk about a child of 13 to maybe 17-year-old, the emotions are 3 or 4 times multiplied. So when they see it, oh, their friends are there. See, I'm a mother of a teen, so I'm going through that all the time. So phone is a big. So FOMO is not only on that social media. It is first of buying a device, then joining any social media. And when this you put that, so FOMO is from both sides. Then you put that pictures, and then a new term has introduced, which is called a social currency. When you get a certain likes, 100 likes are there, your picture is like, okay, it's worth putting. When you're not getting it, remove that. So when it hampers your daily life, it is not correct, right? A child who was healthy, everything, but suddenly have lost appetite, is not sleeping properly. His studies, the scores are just not that what he used to get. Then FOMO is changing to an anxiety. social anxiety, or can be any kind of anxiety, right? Then FOMO is something to be dealt with. Otherwise, if it's a healthy comparison, it's not anything to be harmful. Then it is good. I would consider FOMO has both the aspects. But when it is out of your hand, then and you see your child is, just going to the other path which you are not approving, or it's not correct for you, then you must, that is a red flag.
Okay. So yeah, it's sometimes it's necessary to draw comparisons because, you know, if you want to move forward in your life and do good, obviously we compare our marks also with, with the topper of the class or something like that. But how can we explain this to a teenage? Like, what comparisons need to be drawn and what all comparisons they don't need to draw? How to make a teenager understand that? Okay, you being a mother, you can tell your kid, okay, नहीं उसने पिक्चर डाला है तो इट्स ओके, बट तुम्हें मार्क्स उससे ज्यादा चाहिए, पिक्चर में लाइक्स उससे ज्यादा हो ना हो, दैट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. So obviously he or she will raise questions like, why this thing? So how to make a teenage understand that where is that line which decides that what comparisons need to be drawn and what all comparisons you don't need to draw?
Okay. All right. So if you're putting to someone else, please go ahead.
No, you can answer.
I just see it starts in the family. So it is the way how you portray things to your child. It is from very young level. It is not when a child is adolescent or then you will tell. It is when a child is maybe 2-3-year-old, talk to that person, talk to that child as you're talking to like any other person. See, communication is the skill. See now it's weather is like monsoon. So you can't stop that rain, but you have to give umbrella to your child. Right? How to shield, how to have that armor. It is just how you portray things to your child. See, drawing comparisons is okay. If your child is, I'm not getting good marks, then it is, instead of just sulking with him, then it's okay, we can study hard. Instead of leaving your child all alone, okay, you study, just bring it to V. Stand with your child in all the conditions. So that is the key. As a parent, as a teacher, as an adult, as a psychologist, you have to understand a person as a personality of a child, how you have to deal with it. It is not child at that point of time may not be getting that answers on its own. You have to just provide. You have to just show a way and tell them to walk. Okay, this is not, this is right. Let him come to his own answers. Right now, put a sense of responsibility is very important. Make a deal. This is correct, this is not. So that is it. Just talk.
I would like to add to what Amandeep was saying when she said, you need to talk to them when they're 2 or 3 years old or something. It's important that it's not a conversation that you make in a day that, this needs to be done or this is the way things are supposed to be done. As parents, as educators, and as mental health professionals, it's important that we build a sensitized society where healthy boundaries are set and where, you respect each other's opinions and your life choices. So that happens through conversations. Those conversations need to start very young. Like I work in a school, and such conversations start from the age, when the child is coming to school, and it goes up to till the child is in school or passes out. So, it's a journey on what you are creating and why are you creating this. And not only as an educator, not only kids need to go through that journey, even its parents. So when parents also come with the concern that the child is using too much of TV and phone or social media handles, you also need to see how as a family they are growing. What are the dynamics of the family? What are the dynamics of a class also? And how that child is individually. Everything impacts. So like context plays a very important role in development. So, I would say that it's not a day talk that you have with the child. It's a talk that it's a journey, basically.
Is it okay if I add to that? Yeah.
Completely.
Okay, great. Thank you. There are a bunch of things that I'm thinking about, and I completely, I'm so grateful that these points are coming up. It is very important what both Amandeep and Arshi are talking about in terms of communication. I think, especially with adolescents, no, they're at that age whether they're either going to be considered too young to be making certain decisions or too old to not be doing certain things. कितनी सारी बातें होती है ना कि बच्चों की तरह मत बिहेव करो या फिर तुम अभी इतने बड़े नहीं हो कि तुम अपने लिए डिसाइड करोगे. I feel like it's very important to bring in the element of agency. It's very important to bring in the element of autonomy where you're asking instead of telling. So how Amandeep was saying that आप बच्चे को ये नहीं बोलोगे कि आप बैठ के पढ़ो. अच्छा, let's both do it. So even if that comparison is happening, I feel like validating it can be the first step to start that conversation. That, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I can imagine that this must be difficult for you. And I feel like what Arshi was talking about, the context, it's supremely important, because if we zoom out just a little bit, first is, okay, not only is the comparison happening on, okay, what is my friend doing? Where is she? Where is he? What are they up to? It is about whether or not they have the device to capture everything that's happening around. It is also about, a child could be witnessing certain things on social media and could be going back to their family saying, their parents allow them to go out, why don't you allow me to go out? Or their parents allow them to have parties late till night, why do I have so many restrictions? So it is happening at multiple levels. I feel like it's very important to understand how it's a multi-storied building sort of a thing, right? But with the conversation that we're having, with the autonomy that we're bringing in, with the validation that we're giving, I feel like the context can be explained better. And what would the context be? That everybody's circumstances are different. I think it relates to what Arshi was talking about, what we portray on social media versus what the reality could be, right? So I feel like parents and teachers and all the adults in adolescence life need to take that responsibility. And I feel like there's some handholding involved as well in, okay, how about I zoom out with you a little bit? How about we think about the person's life outside of what is, getting portrayed on social media? So I feel like that could be an interesting thing to consider. Yeah.
Right. So what I understand now is that, okay, so communication is the key, right? Yeah. But as you know that in today's world, both the parents are usually working, like both the father and the mother. In case if they both are working, and suppose they come back at 6 or 7 from work, and till then the child is so exhausted and is so swamped with his own school work, tuition work and stuff, so he starts studying at that time and somehow can't get time to interact with his parents. So what should be done in that case? How do you think the time should be managed in this scenario where the parents are working and the child is also, like suppose it's a 10th class student, so he is going to do his boards, so he won't spend much of his time in talking to his parents, right? And obviously his parents also won't allow him to, chit chat for a very long time. So what should be done in that case?
When we talk about how parents are working, but it is the responsibility of parents to chalk out that time to talk. We can't be finding solutions for such concerns that parents are working, they do not have the time to be with the child. But I absolutely do not agree with this. I feel even a 15-20 minutes of talk with the parent really makes the day. At least stay connected with the child. Ki what's happening? What happened during the day? What was it that was, fun about today? What was it that, made you worried about today? I'm here listening to you. Now, if parents are coming back on weekends and talking and the entire week is gone by, the child might meet the parent on Tuesday, but he's seeing the parent on Saturday. Right? So I would say, it's very important to chalk out 15-20 minutes out of your schedule to sit with the teenager, especially with the teenager. They need to feel connected. right? Because at this age, friends become more important. But as parents also, you need to have that kind of authority, or that kind of connectedness with the child. On weekends you can do different things: unplugging from social media, spending a day together, planning your entire weekend on how you are going to spend that time, and building authentic relationships. But all these authentic connections come with continuity. It needs to be every day, it needs to be consistent.
I would just like to add, Arshi, what Arshi is saying is completely correct. See, when I deal with the parents, this issue comes up on and off, that we don't have time. We can't help a child like that, because see, it's not only behavioral, even academic issues. A lot of academic issues is due to that parents don't have time. Either their children are with the maids, or they go to daycare, or grandparents. So if the grandparents are there, it's a blessing. They give you all the values, but not the academics part. Right. So what parents can do, see, it is just maybe a dinner time. That point, just listen to your child. Just don't give your opinions. Don't judge your child why. Don't put all the questions, just keep aside all the questions and just listen to your child. Maybe go for a walk for 10 minutes after dinner, just a stroll. Hold your child's hand and just let's go out for a walk. See, that 10-15 minutes, maybe it's before going to bed. Sit with your child, go to his or her room and just talk. See, that makes a difference. That gives a sense of confidence. I mean, it's a bond. A parent and child bond it's there. It will be there. But in when the children are young, adolescents, obviously the peer become more closer. They talk to their friends more. But that bond, you have to keep that dusting. Do that dusting of that bond, because over the period of time, children don't keep, my friend is closer to me, my mother doesn't have a time. Don't let it be. Just talk to your child, just listen to your child, and that is the key. Because see, when we start judging, okay, your friend is like that, why your friend is like that, why is not, then it just spoils the broth. Listen to your child and take out the time, and it's not difficult. I completely disagree that taking out 10-15 minutes is that difficult. Even if you have a very busy schedule, if mother is not there, then father should play the role. And with the boys, connection with mother and father, especially with the father. Just if not, things are that bad, for a whole week you're not getting that time, just take your child by the weekend, just go out and play, just cricket, whatever. It is just a physical activity. Maybe let the child open up, because see, emotions get bottled up over a week if child is not getting any time to speak with the parents. So it is a responsibility of the parents only. They have to see what their timings are, how they have to do it, and that is it. So that's it.
Right. See, what I feel, I find that there are certain loopholes in this also, because we talking about it sitting in our AC rooms, and well-educated people, we know about certain things. We know, okay, that how to raise a child. There are certain things. My child might be, facing some issues. I need to talk about it. But there are people who have no idea about it. They have no idea what their child is going through. They have no concept about mental health. They don't know about it. For example, if we take the vulnerable sections of our society, for example, the kid of a laborer, he is no different. He or she is no different. He has the same heart. He has the same mind. He might be facing the same issues that a child of a high class society is facing, right? But I feel that the child who is from a well-class family, well-educated, who has like well-educated father and a mother, he or she can still deal with the issue. But what about the kid whose parents are not so educated? They don't know like there is a thing known as, communication, bond building, and all those things. So, what do you think? How are those kids going to face, like, how are they going to, you know, what will they do?
I feel like,
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Miss Kaur, I would like you to first go.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I think what you're bringing up is very important, and it's very, I don't think we can talk about this without realizing that the kid doesn't know how to deal with it or understand what it is because the parents don't know. And the parents don't know because their parents also didn't teach. So it's a generational thing that sort of gets perpetuated. And I genuinely feel like community mental health programs, so just awareness drives, I think a lot of organizations do try to take it up where they're just, because all of us who don't have access to mental health, or the people who haven't had access to, let's say, therapy or counseling sessions or whatever it is, they still have had access to that community. I think we are such relational beings that we always end up relying on a community, no matter what kind of that community is. You know, it could be your religious community, it could be your community in your neighborhood, it could be community of people in the same profession. You know, so even with vulnerable sections there, that community is there. I feel like it is important to understand the value of that community. It is important to talk about what that community can do to you and to encourage conversation there. And then only can we sort of get to that point where the child is also going to learn. See, the thing is, there's this element of observational learning involved in it. I don't think it can be overlooked, right? So if the parents have had it figured out, or they're initiating it, or there's that initiative at the parents' level, the child is going to mimic that as well. It's the same with, you know, the particular sections of the society that you're bringing up to. So yeah, I mean, in government schools, for example, if there can be programs about where children are, let's say, in groups, and they're just being encouraged to talk to each other, the likelihood of them taking that back home, you know, where they're telling their parents कि अच्छा आज स्कूल में हमने ये सीखा और आज हमने स्कूल में ये चीजें करें, it is going to pique that curiosity for the parents too. So it is a very back and forth kind of a process, and I feel like it's going to take a lot of time before this becomes a normalized conversation. But I do feel hopeful that we are at least moving in that direction. We are moving in that direction with all sections. So yeah.
Thank you.
See, sorry, I just want to add a little bit.
Please add.
Yeah, in government schools also in Delhi, it was like there was a program where the voluntary counseling was there. Counselors used to volunteer and talk to the children, and especially of 11th, 12th graders. So, and other thing, what can be done is a peer education. See, when a counselor is talking to 11th and 12th graders, they can guide the younger children also. See, these problems are not only with that adolescents, it starts from the younger age also. See, when we talk about that particular section, it is not only that fear of missing out. They have to fight for their basic needs also. That is not being like they're not getting that simple as a pencil, or so they have to deal with that also, and they feel that pressure much more than the children what we talk about in our schools. And so that can be done. The small initiative can lead to a long way.
Pooja, we are also talking from a place of privilege right now, right?
Yes,
We are
exactly.
privileged.
Yes,
We are privileged
absolutely.
to work at such places. You're privileged to have
Yes.
that education. So the major concern is what are the policies around it, right? What are the mental health policies around it? Even if you know a community outreach program, is it a tick mark or is it something really being done at that level? So honestly, if you ask me right now, because where I come from, I don't think so I will be able to add meaning to this conversation over here regarding this. But I would say yes, it needs to trickle down the system. The system needs to trickle down, whether it's in government schools or whether it's in a community outreach program where kids do not have school access to schools. But I would say, like, every child who goes to school, it's not necessarily is faced by a mental health counselor sitting there. So as per CBSE also, there is a rule that every school needs to have a mental health counselor. But are there? mental health counselors in school, right? So firstly, we need to see how the policies are in place or not.
So now, as you have bring in the concept of mental health, so I would like to, know more about it. Like, what do you feel like? How much this impacts our mental health? To what extent is our mental health being affected due to this? And how harmful it is?
Okay, if we particularly talking about FOMO or what? See, FOMO,
Right, FOMO.
right. Okay, see, FOMO as such, I said, when we read a book, na, the word is not there, just a slang. But the consequences can lead to something very, very alarming. See, anxiety, as I said, mood swings, it can be as major as depression if it's not dealt with at particular time, right? Children, you must have seen, even young children are going through depression. It was not there previously. If I see, I have not heard like 15, 20, 30 years back that children are going to a psychologist, or I'm not that primitive, don't think that,
I think
but
there was no awareness. Now we are aware.
awareness. See, the thing was that awareness was not there, but that time number of children were like, there were 2 children, 3, 4 in a family, and they used to talk among themselves. The things were sorted. Many things of these small what form FOMO is now being created were sorted out among themselves only. They talk, and now it's in every family. It's generally a one child, and parents are like helicoptering, and the moment they say a thing is there before they open their mouth. Gadgets are so much into that, and Snapchats and this and that, and there's no filter, no screening, right? As I said, it is a parent's duty. How you can put up to your child ki this is correct and this is not. Parents are scared. I mean, I'm saying scared to say anything to the child ki, oh my god, my child should not do this, and he should not harm himself or herself. So, but why? If the child, you're giving a right value, resilience is there, problem solving, right, decision making, that is instilled in a child, then I don't think this FOMO can lead to anything. FOMO will fade away itself. So it's like anxieties and all these are small issues, but can lead to something major later. So that is it. If anyone just feel like adding something to what I said.
Yeah, Ms. Kaur, I think you haven't spoken about the mental health issues, so I would like you to add a few more points if there are any.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is coming very from this very specific idea of wanting to be included, which I think is so important. I think all of us get that kind of life force, I would say, that inclusion can be life force. So it's a very in-group versus out-group question of FOMO. What does that lead to? It leads to a sense of isolation. What can that sense of isolation lead to? That nobody likes me enough to include me, or nobody wants me in their circle. What can that lead to? That can lead to this repetitive feeling of I'm not good enough. That can
Right.
that can lead to so many self-image issues. That can lead to issues regarding confidence.
Yeah.
Can lead to issues regarding how secure do I feel in putting myself out there? Does anybody even want to see me? So that, of course, I agree, it can lead to a grave mental health consequences. But I feel like even if it is not leading to grave, so to say, conventionally understood grave consequences, even the baseline things about how your image is getting affected, how
Yeah,
your
it's a
relationship could be getting affected.
low self-esteem is there. Na? Children they are sticking to the phone more, just checking if they posted a picture, how many likes are there. And if it is not being external validation is there, right now, they feel inadequate in themselves. Right? The confidence is low.
Yeah.
Right. Mood swings are there. Then I said appetite and sleeping disorders, anxiety disorders, phobia, panic. So it can lead to, and it's all overlapped. if one starts, it can lead to another, and it goes on.
Right.
I think this also, is based on what we call the self-determination theory, right? And it talks about satisfaction of three basic needs that all individuals have: the competence to participate in the world, social connectedness, and degree of personal independence. And there is a link between the shortage of these basic needs and FOMO. So when kids are using a lot of social media is also to stimulate their social connection and competence. And FOMO is just a mediator in the relationship between the fulfillment of these basic needs and social media use. So these platforms become ideal platforms for individuals who want to gather more information about others, and then they see themselves and then act upon it. So when you talk about inclusion, it is also you want to be connected with people, you want to be liked by other people. So this is a basic need that all of us have. And when that need is not fulfilled, it can be manifested in the form of mood swings. It can be manifested in the form of, withdrawing from others around you, uh, anger issues, behavior concerns in the classroom, attention seeking behavior.
So it has a very ugly withdrawals also. Yeah, it can lead to, say, sticking to phone too much, and suddenly if it's not there, and you're not saying that you are a part of that whatever social media anymore, and see, then the withdrawals symptoms arises. So that is also there. It's kind of an addiction only. Social media up to a certain level is okay. After that, it is an addiction. Sticking to phone all the time and checking if this is there, putting yourself in the center and seeing everything around it, that is something which is not correct. Especially it happens with the children only.
I feel like it's a little bit there are so many complexities that come in, right? Even specifically in today's context with the meme culture, let's say, or how relevant are you to your friends? How updated are you with what's happening in the pop culture, And social media, we have to agree, it does allow you to find that relatability. Also, sometimes when you might not be able to find it in your immediate circle, I feel like that's important to bring in. That is what I mean by that kind of validation. So why are we so invested in vicariously living through other people's experience? Sometimes because we don't have the privilege to experience that for ourselves. So the need to constantly be online so that you don't miss out, so that, okay, when a discussion is sort of initiated on, okay, this person went there and then this happened and that happened, you don't feel like you don't have any context to it. You don't feel like, mujhe to malum hi nahi hai kya ho raha hai. To avoid that, that is what sort of fuels this idea that you have to constantly be online so that you don't miss out on anything and everything that goes on.
Right, as you rightly said, I completely agree with you. So now the thing is, social media being the culprit, do you feel that we should ban social media to help it, or we should like raise the age, or like, okay, you can use it only if you're 20 and above? Should things like that happen, or like how to? Do you think that if like it's, I'm just creating a scenario. For example, if we ban tomorrow, if I ban, social media, do you think it will solve the problem? Miss
think
Kaur,
so.
you may continue.
Yeah, I don't think so. It can create more problems and it can create a problematic relationship with the parents, because these days, if you look around, kids who go to school, everyone is on social media, right? And then the kind of feelings that the kids internalize towards their parents then becomes very scary. So even if they are allowed social media, how are you allowing social media? Phones, everyone has phones. And you will have to give in to your children one way or the other. But the fact is that when you build boundaries around it, like for example, you can't ban them from not using their phone. What you can do is you can put limitation and boundaries. Like for example, you can't bring your phone to the dinner table, or you can't be on the phone after 10 o'clock, after post your bedtime. submit your phone, and then it's not that even you also have to do the same. So why as an adult you enjoy such privileges, right? So with the teenager, you need to have a conversation like an adult, right? Simply telling them ki phone switch off kar lo, it will be very difficult. So you need to also discuss with them what kind of content is on the social media. So the more open discussions you have with the kids, the more space, the more safe space you're giving your kids to come back and tell you that, look, this happened today, what should I do about it? But if you are like a no, your kids are never going to come back and tell you. They will try and find solutions themselves, which is more dangerous. So it's important, even if during your childhood you were not allowed these things, there are taboo on different things. Your kids will use social media, your kids will go into relationships, your kids are going to, explore their sexuality and everything. But what you need to provide is that safe space. Everything is welcome, because then you will have that, window for discussion. And once such discussions happen, parent and the child grow together.
Yeah, I completely agree with Arshi. See, for me, social media is not that a culprit. So you can't stop it. It is everywhere. As I said, it is raining. You can't keep your child in a box. You can't. Eventually, he'll have to go out. You can't make a road smooth for your child. You'll have to make your child walk on that roads. Make your child learn that. So you have to draw some boundaries, as you said. If it's now it's a necessity. Oh, and we, especially when we talk about the children who are from 8th to 12th graders, they have their coaching classes, they have their tuitions and online and so on. So you have to give a gadget to them. You can't stop it. But there is a time after coming back from school, maybe giving for 3 hours, which includes their study, and for 4 hours. That depends on you and your child. Then it should be there. See, parents, what they do is first they chalk out a plan, they make a timetable, and they only then give up to like this, come to a child's wants. No, I want it. Stick to your plans. If it's no, it should be no. And it should be a family. If it's a dinner table, you're sitting, gadget should be away. You have to be with your child. See, saying no doesn't work. It is, you have to just reframe your sentence. Don't do this. Instead, you can say, can we do it tomorrow? Can we see it tomorrow? So that makes a difference. When you include yourself with the child, it gives a lot of confidence to your child also, and you can portray what you really want to, right? It's your intentions have to cover up. If it's, maybe you're saying your child is too much on the phone, but if you just snatch a phone, I mean, can you just see the consequences? Can you just visualize? No, a child maybe later he will start hiding things from you. He will start using his friend's phone. He'll start going to neighbor's house and whatever. You have to have that confidence and trust in your child, and child should have in you. Right? So that is very important. Being a parent or as a teacher also. Sometimes, see, children do not open up at this age too much to their parents, and it happens. They talk to their teachers more, to the friends more. So keep that loop, everyone in the loop. See, when you are a mother of a teen, you maybe just make friends of that, be friends with the other mothers of that group, of your child's friends. So meet, talk to them, discuss about the problems, discuss about the issues what the other children are facing, and come up to a very workable solution, which is possible. Just drawing a wall in front of child, it's not a workable solution. You have to find a center path. Mediation should be the key. That is it. Otherwise, saying no to a child is completely no for me. That doesn't work. That's it. Thank
I
you.
100% agree. I think the phrase that strict parents create sneaky kids is very, very true. The more restrictions you put up, it's not like the restrictions are going to be met. It's just that alternative ways to do what the child wants to do will come up. So I feel like regulation is the key. Like Arshi and Amandeep were also talking about regulation in the sense, some boundaries around that. But here's the thing though, it shouldn't just be about regulating how much time you're spending on social media. I feel like this conversation starts at regulating emotions. Why is it that the child is so tempted to just pick up their phone and go on social media? Are they trying to escape something at home? Are they overwhelmed by what could be the context going on? Are they not able to process their emotion? So it becomes a form of escapism. Acha, let me just go to social media and then I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with this difficult emotion that is coming up for me because I haven't been taught how to deal with it. I haven't been taught how to process it. I haven't been taught that it's okay to feel, emotions that are conventionally termed negative. It's okay for all of those things to come up as well. So I feel like regulation at a very emotional level rather than at an intellectual level or a boundary kind of a level. I think that could really change the ball game.
Right. I completely agree that saying just no won't help. It will definitely bring down the problem. Like, okay, if we restrict the timings, like, okay, you don't need to, get your phones to the dinner table. It will definitely cut down the problem, but I don't think that it is a complete solution because I have myself seen that, like, in my, there is a cousin of mine who is just 12, and there is a rule in the family, like, okay, you can't bring your phones to the dinner table because it's a family time. But what happens, what he does, he eats his dinner so fast because he's so addicted to using his phones, because probably not social media, maybe video games, because of his age. He's just 10 or 11, I guess. Video games. So he's so addicted that he just finishes his dinner in just 5 minutes, hardly takes 5 minutes. So that's again a problem. Any say on that, Miss Arshi?
So, we need to see what kind of conversations are happening on the dinner table, right? What is it that you are bringing to the table for the child to be there, enjoy that moment? So, like even Prabhjyot was saying that, emotional regulation as a family, when you sit together, what is it that you talk about? How do you deal with emotions? How do you deal with all the big emotions, or certain things in the family, like if a child disagrees to you also, how do you deal with that? And what kind of relationship are you building with the child? Is it a relationship where you provide that space or not, or is it a transactional relationship, or is it an authoritarian relationship? So it really depends on the parenting style and the quality of family time that you're willing to give it to your child, right? Why wouldn't a child would come and sit and understand and know what happened in your day, rather than just going to the video games? Kids do play video games, but I have also seen kids sitting and talking to their parents about what happened. And that also, you know, depends on how much are you interested in their life. Like, for example, I know someone who was talking to me, and she said once, my child loves listening to heavy metal songs. I don't understand anything, but I sit with the child and do head banging and make sure I enjoy with my child, even if I don't understand. So, what is the relationship that you're making? Right? If your child listens to BTS, do you listen to BTS with that child? Because you're expecting your child to do everything that you want them to do, but you are not building a relationship in understanding what they like, right? So it's very important what kind of relationship are building, and that's what attracts the kids. There are kids who would wait for the parents to come back to share everything, but then there are kids who would wait, who would get terrified that the parents are back and I need to do certain things. Kids will just pick up their books and start studying just to show that we were studying. So what is the relationship? It all depends. I think parents need to reflect what they are bringing to the table first.
And other thing I would like to, then again, talking is the key. Communication. See, let child come up with the solutions on his own. Okay, see, this is spending that much time on a phone is wrong. Explain this to your child. What can be done? What can we do about it? Let a child will give you solutions itself. Okay, I will not see it. I will see only for an hour. And if it time is exceeding, onus is on the child. See, you are doing this. You are not keeping your promises, your timetable which you have made. Then don't blame me rather for not doing things what I'm supposed to do for you. So this is hit and trial. So, according to a child, you have to change your strategies. So I think that is sometimes it works. Let child come up with its own solutions. No, this is not right. Just explain this to a child. If you're seeing a phone or a video game for 2 hours, it's not good for your eyes. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your studies. What can we do? So you will get the solution from a child itself.
Right. So, ma'am, I think we would now open the floor for live questions. I have a question for Ms. Prabhjyot only. So, ma'am, you talked about the validation of experiences, validation of the experience of comparison, and then addressing the issue. So the question is, how can this happen if parents themselves don't believe in that kind of validation? Just a second. So this question is from Prabhjyot Kaur. If you would like to add something else to the question, let me unmute you. Yeah, you can speak now.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So I just wanted to ask, like, since you're talking about validating emotions, it is important for parents to understand themselves that, okay, emotions are normal and it's okay to feel them. If parents are suppressing or not experiencing those emotions themselves, how can they sit with their child and tell them that it's okay if this comparison is happening and it's making you feel bad? So how will that validation come if they don't believe in it themselves? I think that's my question.
Thank you so much for asking that. I feel like you're also answering in a partly, what you're asking, because you're right, unless and until the parents know what to do with that, they wouldn't be able to extend that validation to the child. But then that is exactly what it comes down to, right? How do we make sure that conversations like these are getting to parents? I feel like this medium is one of the ways of doing that. I'm hopeful that in the audience today, we have parents also listening in. And my request, my invitation would be that you take this conversation out of this space then. Even if it's one set of parents who are, let's say, a little bit more woke or more aware that emotional intelligence is important, emotions are important, what is the conversation they're having with other parents? And of course, there can be that if impact and effect of that, right? Okay, this is how I deal with my child and it ended up helping me. How is it that you deal with your child? What did you do? So I feel like that conversation very consciously needs to sort of come up in that parents' circle. And we need more platforms. We need more, because all of us here, whatever age groups we are in, what if we decide to have this conversation with our parents? What are they going to say about it, right? So I feel like attending situations like these, or just taking the conversation beyond what you're attending today, I think that could be one of the ways of teaching parents that, validation is important and can be extended to children too. But thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhjyot. I hope you got your answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this question is for Ms. Arshi. Ma'am, the question is, why only the parents are being discussed so much? Do you believe that students spend most of their time in schools? So what can be the role of teachers in this?
So as I said, context plays a very important role in development, and teacher-parent partnership is one of those partnership which needs to be flourished, right? Because you rightly said that students spend a lot of time in school, but when they come back home, they're also spending that much time with you. Whatever happens in school and at home needs to be interconnected. So for that, it's important that you meet the teachers. It's important that teachers also hold these conversations with the parents to understand where both of you are at. So if you have a concern, see, none of these issues will get resolved on its own. The school and the parents need to work together to understand what is the concern, because a lot of time these concerns might not show up at home, but it shows up at school. Might not show up at school, but it shows up at home. So this partnership becomes really important. You need to go and sit and talk to your teachers about what is the plan of action. This is something that's happening with my child. What can we do together? So the responsibilities are divided, right? But one, only not teachers are responsible, and not only parents are responsible. Both of them need to come together to a workable solution. So even at schools, if there is a counselor also who is there and works around social emotional well-being, it's important that the school counselor, the teachers and the parents have a conversation regarding this, right? So the teacher's role is, how do they create this community in the classroom of sensitizing students on healthy boundaries, and on a lot of psychoeducation workshops also happen at school in terms of, like, cyber safety, safe and unsafe touch, uh, healthy boundaries, your personal space. So are these things happening at school? So as parents, you can demand also such things from school. Are you doing awareness workshop where teachers and students together in a group and come up and reflect on these things, right? Generally, a school counselor does all these workshops along with teachers where they follow up, but these conversations do happen in classroom, and these conversations do happen with parents as well. So you need to see how your school is providing that mental health support to your teachers, to your children, and to you yourself as well, right? All the three elements need to work together here for the mental wellness of children.
You all three being in the psychology thing, so can any one of you just brief about an incident in your like personal incidents, like you have encountered a case like that and how you dealt with it? An adolescent coming to you and speaking about it, that he or she feels depressed looking at others, draws comparisons, has no one to talk.
I
I
had
think.
a very interesting child coming to
Yeah.
me since the age of 8 years old, and now he is 15. And so he had a lot of self-esteem issues. In the sense, now I don't work with him, he's doing well and everything. So he had a lot of self-esteem issues, and that also came from a lot of comparison, comparing himself to others, comparing himself to what others have and he does not have. And honestly, he had no concerns back home in terms of financials. What the concern was, how the child was very disconnected at home, right? Disoriented at home, where to go with all these emotions, right? So, and especially on social media, posting pictures on social media and different things that I have learned this new thing and I'm really good at it, or I'm learning coding and it's really good, I'm amazing at it, playing guitar. But deep down, even if he was achieving these many things, there was a fear of missing out because he was excluded from the friend circle. Right now, how do he deals with it? By lying, by cropping up stories and different things. So as a therapist also, as a school counselor also, how you need to work is, need to bring in the parents also in the picture. What is happening? What has happened? How is the child emotionally regulating himself at home? What kind of uh, conversations are you having? Is the child staying alone at home, or does the child have access to guardian whenever he needs it? These conversations also bring to light that the family dynamics in place. What has the family dynamics mean? And also, how is he, well, how compassionate the teachers are also to accommodate his needs. If he wants to answer in the class all the time, even if it's wrong, how is a teacher also, responding to that need of the child? So it's very important that, we take in context, where is the child coming from? What are the cultural backgrounds of the child? What is the economic background of the child? How are the family dynamics of the child? So, and it was majorly related to social media, because he would used to come up and say that person posted the picture of his new laptop. He has a MacBook, I have an HP. And all these comparisons do come in place. So how are you providing that space for the child to, even if he's coming, you validate the feelings of the child, right? It was a long process. I cannot explain how things went okay, but working with family dynamics and working with the teachers in the classroom really helped him. And also at times, it's important to sensitize the peers around. How are we accommodating? Accommodations are not only for kids who have certain concerns like a learning disability, autism, and ADHD, uh, also with kids with social emotional concerns. So what are the accommodations as parents we are providing, as teachers we are providing, as peers we are supporting the kids? So it is a holistic development, and it takes time, but you get there. So the most important thing is to identify that there is a need to, start providing this space for the child.
Sorry, I just want to share one incident, though it
We
is.
would love to listen now.
Yeah. So it is not regarding FOMO, because the child, it is about the twin sisters. When the children came to me, they were in grade 2. Now they are in middle school. So the incident was reported to me by a class teacher and the bus teacher. The child used to pick up fights a lot in the bus. And in the class, she used to be very quiet, alone, sitting in the corner. So I could not see how a child who is so quiet in the class can just pick up fight in the bus, and she hit her own sister, twin sister, in the bus. So I just called the parents. First, I had a session with the child, but a child was too close. So I had just called the parent. I had a conversation. So I just came to know that the child who's picking up the conversation was born with some deformities, hand deformities. The fingers was not there, and the other one, the twin, was really extrovert. I mean, who can just project herself. So this child was closing down. Parents used to project her only wherever, taking, oh my, this child is participating in this, getting the prizes. So this child, it was like she was in a cocoon, not opening up to her. So the emotions what were bottled up, and so it was just coming up as a tantrum, as fight. She used to hate her sister. So I need to talk to the parents. Yes, you cannot do this. Do not draw comparisons among your own children. Right. So it is creating it. It was imbalance between between both the children. So you need to push one the little more and just pull the other one. So they are at par with each other. So now they are settled. I know issues reported to me till now. But yeah, it is not, I mean, FOMO is not with the outer world. It can be among the siblings. Rivalries can be there. So it is the parents who need to see that if your child, one is very extrovert, who can talk to anyone, who can just project, who can do 10 things, multitasking, the other one may be focusing on one, but has that ability, has that talent. So just focus on that. Maybe one is doing extremely good in academics, the other one is not. But there can be some other talents. Sometimes parents only draw comparisons, which is not good for children.
So as we are running out of time now, so I think we should call it a day. And before closing the session, I would like Ms. Prabhjyot to, just give 2 to 3 key messages that our participants should take away from this session.
Sure. One would be, as parents, as adults, what kind of behavior are you putting out for the adolescents to be mirroring you? So I don't think the accountability of this lies with the adolescents only. It's important to have that kind of modeling accessible. You should be able to see, okay, the adults around you are also being careful about it. Second would be, let's disengage a little bit every now and then with social media. I'm not at all in favor of banning it, but like I said, I'm in favor of regulating it. And last but not the least, let's try to understand what pushes us towards increased use of social media as well. What pushes adolescents towards increased use of social media, and how can we create that space where they can, as parents and teachers especially, where they can just reach out and talk about it, where they can just reach out and tell us that this could be something that they're struggling with, and then how do we make ourselves available to them emotionally to deal with it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now I would like to thank all the 3 panelists for coming, taking out their precious time to speak about the issues. It was such an enlightening session. I really enjoyed interacting with all the 3 of you, and I hope our participants had a great time. So I think we should close the session now. But before going back, we'll have a small feedback form on the screens. Kindly fill the form, and if any of the questions is unanswered because of the time limitations, you may post it using the webinar by Sharp on social media platforms, and we'll try to answer that as soon as possible. And the participants will get their certificates within 2 days. So kindly fill the feedback form.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pooja.
Thank you. It was lovely interacting with everyone.
Yes, thank you.